Hello, welcome to a review of the new Volkswagen Polo Sedan. It's quite nice. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, click the subscribe button, make sure to like this video and go check out some of our other 700 videos. Cool, be safe. Right, take two. Hello and welcome to the Cars.co.za YouTube channel. I'm Ciro De Siena. This is a new Volkswagen Polo Sedan and I'm about to tell you much more about it than I did in the first take. Let's go. Dream, search, drive. Cars.co.za.
No matter how big or small your car is, you can still save $420 per month. Budget, the official insurer of good South Africans.
Right, so what is this? Well, it's a Polo with a boot, but weirdly enough, even though South Africa is famous for building the Polo for the entire world, they don't build this one here. This one gets imported as it is, as you see it, from India. Now, there's nothing wrong with that per se. Lots of our cars come from India, but it does strike me as a little bit odd that they wouldn't just build the Polo with a boot next to the Polos without a boot. But one of the quirks, and I'm sure you've noticed it already because it's hard not to notice, but the only interior that Volkswagen South Africa can get from India is this one. It's called the Sea of Beige option. I feel like I'm in a doctor's waiting room in the 90s. Like there should just be some tatty huisgenots left on the dashboard. Okay, but let's stop picking on this car now because beige, well, I mean, it's just going to get dirty, but it's not the end of the world. So this Life model that I'm driving at 360k is pretty well spec'd. You've got a touchscreen infotainment system which features wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay with a wireless charger down here, and all of this, everything I'm telling you about, is included in the price. None of this is an optional extra. Got automatic climate control, multifunction steering wheel, a display in the center of the dials, automatic lights and automatic window up and down with electric all round and electric mirrors. The only thing it doesn't seem to have that I can tell is automatic wipers. And some nice little touches like push button start down here, 2 USB Type-C ports over there and 2 in back. But I suppose what's maybe more important than all of that is what is this car like to drive? So in India, this car is sold as the Volkswagen Virtus, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, and it is available over there with smaller turbocharged engines, the more modern engines from the VW lineup, the 1 liters. But in South Africa, it will be only offered with this, a 1.6 liter 4-cylinder naturally aspirated, so no forced induction. Now, that's not necessarily a problem. However, South Africa has quite a unique landscape in that most of our cars are driven at very, very high altitude, where you lose about 15% of the engine's power. And this car doesn't really have a lot of power to lose. It's not good. It's not a good starting point to lose 15%. So you've got about 80 kilowatts here, 150 newtons, and I do think, even though I'm down here at sea level, it's a bit sluggish. This feels like quite a lot of car for that engine. So keep that in mind if you're looking at this car and you live up at altitude, Gauteng, or anywhere else in the country at altitude, that I think, yeah, if you're fully loaded in here, it's going to feel a bit underpowered. Now, the first thing you'll probably notice is that my left arm is doing things involved in the driving procedure. Yes, this is a manual, a dying breed in the passenger car market, And interestingly, if you want an auto, you do have to spend quite a bit more, 20,000 Rand more actually, if you don't want to change gears yourself. So if you are shopping on a budget, the manual is cheaper. And I mean, as far as gearboxes go, it's pretty slick, it's pretty easy to use. I do have a little bit of a complaint about the clutch. It takes really late, and the travel is really long. So it's this long sort of sweeping motion with your foot and then all the way back up for the gear to take. The brakes are a little bit snatchy, so it's taken me weirdly quite a bit of time to get used to driving this car. So in terms of the controls, it's a pretty easygoing car, pretty slick, pretty comfortable. Where I am quite impressed is in terms of the ride quality. It rides really well. It's very smooth, it's very comfortable, it handles road imperfections better than you might expect. And the engine, while it can be a little noisy, at sort of below 3,000 RPM, it is actually quite quiet. Now, one of the downsides of this manual box is that it only has 5 speeds, and that's to cut costs. If it had a 6-speed, it would be a bit more expensive. But that 6-speed, what it does is it lowers the revs when you're at highway speed, and that just quietens the engine down and makes it a bit more comfortable to cruise. So it's not as comfortable as it could be out on the highway, unfortunately. Now, one of the most important factors that I need to tell you about and that you're most interested in is fuel economy. So VW claims an average of 6.5 liters to the 100 for this car, and we're not miles away from that. On this particular trip, the readout is showing 7.9 to the 100, and that will definitely get better if you're out on the open road. These types of engines, they're way more efficient when you're cruising along and sort of coasting and gently accelerating on the highway, as opposed to when you're cruising around town and having to constantly stop and accelerate. Then they tend to be a bit thirstier. So my guess here would be that you'll probably average around 7 if you drive very conservatively. Maybe you will get to VW's figure. And this is the reason why you might be considering a Polo with a boot as opposed to a Polo without a boot. And it's the boot. It's massive. Look at that. This is something we have lost with the death of sedans. And let me show you, using our scientific cooler box test, how large this is. I got a bit scared there for a second. This is at least an 8 cooler box boot, which I think is actually a record for our channel. And it just reminds me why sedans were just such practical vehicles and what we've lost with the demise of this type of car. It's so rare that you find a boot on an SUV that size, and also the seats fold down flat as well, so you can slide in a rowing machine or something, which we actually did this week. So in terms of your backup, your service plan and warranty, VW still offers one of the shortest warranties in the industry. It's a 3-year 120,000. Your service plan is 3-year 45,000 Ks with a 15,000 interval. So that basically means 1 service a year, or 3 total services before, well, when you get to your 45,000. Now, VW does offer the option to extend both of those, and it actually is relatively cost effective. You can see all of those prices on their website, and then you can load that onto your finance, so you don't necessarily have to be out of pocket to extend your service plan. And I think if you're going to keep your car for longer than 3 years, then that's a really good idea. But one thing that this Polo sedan is making me think about is, why did sedans die? I mean, this is the only sedan that Volkswagen sells in this country. The Arteon's gone, the Jetta's gone, the Passat is gone. This is it. If you want a VW with a boot, you've got this to choose from, basically. And then I was thinking to myself, is there another manufacturer that sells a sedan in this segment? And for the life of me, I cannot think of one. I think this is kind of the swan song of the sedans. And I think that's a little bit of a pity, because they tend to be a little bit cheaper than SUVs, they're better road holding, and they're more practical. They just are. You're not going to find an SUV at this price point with a boot that big. You just aren't. So these make great run around cars, but the thing is, South Africans want SUVs, and I have a feeling that this will be the last generation of Polo Sedan that we see on our roads. Right, thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed this review, we have nearly 700 videos on the channel. If you're looking for a very South African focused review of a car you might be interested in, you'll probably find it in our back catalogue. And if you haven't subscribed yet, yeah, maybe give it some thought, you know. Discuss it with the missus tonight, see if it's a good idea. Maybe you don't have to, maybe you can just subscribe on your own. You know, make that executive decision. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking now. Bye-bye.
You can't claim that budget doesn't have your back. Sure, but you can claim via WhatsApp. Budget, the official insurer of good South Africans.
Cars.co.za